Sometimes we see something in a classroom that does not go as planned, and we wonder, what had the teacher planned and what did the teacher hope would happen instead of this? In today's video, we're going to dive into this concept of intention versus impact, and I'm going to share some ideas about how we can use this concept in our work as teacher evaluators. Welcome to my channel for leaders who want to lead with love and love to lead. My name is Jess Madden-Fuoco. I've been evaluating teachers for more than 15 years, and I've been coaching and training other evaluators for more than 10 years. I'm passionate about how we can improve our work as teacher evaluators so that we're supporting teachers' growth so that they can then support our students' growth. When I did my school leadership program in 2005 to 2006, I was able to take 2 conflict resolution courses. These courses have had a huge influence on who I am as a leader, but also as a human. And I use ideas and strategies from these courses, both in my work life and in my personal life. I still have a lot of growing to do related to how I approach conflict and how I engage in it, for sure. But it's a topic that I love to keep learning about. There's one concept that I learned in these courses that has stuck with me and has really been helpful in my work as a teacher evaluator. And it's this idea of disentangling intent and impact. Basically, the idea is that our intention might be one thing, but the impact of our words or actions might be different than what we intended. So one idea that's important is when we do something or a teacher does something that has a negative impact on students, that matters regardless of what our intention was. But intent also matters. Was the teacher trying to do the right thing and something just went wrong? Or did the teacher intend to have a negative or harmful impact? Obviously, there is a big difference between these two things. So if we have a teacher who is intending to harm students, we need to evaluate that teacher out of the profession as quickly as possible and mitigate the negative impact on students in the meantime. But obviously, the overwhelming majority of teachers intend to support students and don't mean to harm them. But because teaching is so complex, and as teachers we have to make quick decisions, we can sometimes harm students. And so as evaluators, it's really helpful for us when we talk with teachers to disentangle intent from impact and talk about both. To talk about impact, it's obviously ideal if we can talk about something that we saw as a clear evidence-based impact on students. But sometimes that's not always possible. Sometimes the teacher might say something that we think could be hurtful to students, but we don't have any concrete evidence that students were harmed. So we would explain the potential impacts of the teacher's action or language and why we think there's a potentially negative impact. And then to disentangle impact, I really like to communicate that I'm assuming best intentions by saying something like, I know you didn't mean to hurt students by saying this, so tell me what you were thinking at the time and what happened. By separating intent from impact, I find that the teacher is less likely to be defensive and is more likely to be open to talking about what happened and why. And then we can begin 2 important conversations about how to repair any harm that was caused and how to ensure that this doesn't happen again going forward. So to give you an example of how I've used this concept of disentangling intent from impact, I was working with a teacher once who was using ClassDojo, which is an online system based on the ideas of PBIS, or Positive Behavior Intervention System. And what the teacher was doing is the teacher was spending quite a bit of time in class entering positive behaviors that they saw students having. But I was seeing some unintended negative impacts of this. I was seeing that the teacher was really interrupting the flow of the lesson and often interrupting students' thinking by calling out these positive behaviors that they were seeing. And I also saw that it seemed to be the same students in subsequent lessons who kept getting the positive recognition. So that made me question whether it was having some of the intended impacts that the teacher hoped it was having. So in this conversation, I really talked with the teacher about what were their intentions with using ClassDojo, what need were they trying to meet that they saw in their classroom. And then I shared some of the possible negative unintended impacts that I was seeing. And we talked through those and talked about ways of adjusting how the teacher used the system to mitigate and lessen those negative impacts. I also really love to talk with teachers about what their intention is, because I think if teachers are really clear about their intention for a certain strategy or a certain approach, then they can make sure that their actions are aligned with that intention. But regardless of our intentions, we will sometimes have an impact that we don't intend. When this happens, we can remind ourselves of Brené Brown's quote, "I'm here to get it right, not to be right." So as you move forward in your work as a teacher evaluator, I'm hoping that you'll make efforts to disentangle intent from impact and talk about both intent and impact. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested in the topic of teacher evaluations, I have lots of other videos on my channel that you can check out. And if this video is helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe and click that notification bell so that you know about future videos. And as always, please share this video because my mission with this channel is to support leaders so that they can support teachers who can then support our students. And remember, if you lead with love, you will love to lead.